All right, guys, you know those days when you set that crazy early alarm? You know that alarm that on any other day you would totally dread? But here's the thing, today you don't mind because you've got something totally awesome planned. Today is that day. You see, today we're heading down to Sleepy Hollow Country Club to the Titleist Fitting Center for a full bag fitting. Man, am I excited. We're gonna dip down to Jersey, meet up with Mike, and then we're headed over to Sleepy Hollow. Let's do it. All right, there he is. Dude, how excited
I'm so excited. I can't wait.
How huge is today?
It's so big. I couldn't sleep last night at all. It's great.
Today's the day. We've been talking about this on the podcast for how long, Mike? We've been so excited. Mike didn't sleep last night.
Nope, not a wink.
So we're here at Sleepy Hollow Country Club. We're at the Titleist Regional Fitting Center. We're with Kevin Sprecher, and he's gonna take us through a full bag fitting. It's like a dream day. Kevin, tell us what we're gonna do, a little bit about the center, and a little bit what you're gonna be taking us through today.
The center, we've been at Regional Center for 6 years, and the idea is to give the average golfer a tour quality fitting, something you can get at Carlsbad or up at Manchester Lane. So I've got about 1,000 different club head shaft combinations, so kind of cover everything. Putters, wedges, do the whole thing. We're going to start out with irons. Get a baseline with your irons and see how we can improve upon what you have. Try some different, all the different models so you can kind of feel the difference between the performance of an MB or the forgiveness and the distance of an AP3. And then from there we'll transition into some hybrids, which we consider kind of an iron club. And then we'll do the long game and the short game in the end.
I feel like we have a lot of swings coming today, is that right?
Yeah, definitely. Full bag fittings, you're going to take 400, 500, 600 swings. Wow. So that's why I like to break it up, so it's good that we got two of you to do it.
Yeah. And then, the question a lot of people have is like, do you have to be at a certain level to do this? Is there a certain, Mike and I being mid-level handicappers, we talk about it all the time on the podcast and on the channel, like we're not pros. Like, is this something that works for everybody? What's your feeling there?
I find it to be more important for your average golfer because clubs that are improperly fit or not fit at all can actually affect your golf swing. So if it's too stiff or too heavy or too long, then you're going to fight it for your in your swing, and it can actually it'll make you a better player. If it's fit properly. And for the good players, they can swing anything, so there's a smaller margin. So I like working with guys like you because I get a great big upside.
Yeah.
There you go. So let's find out what we're doing wrong. Let's get out there and fix it.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
So we're going to hit some shots. Just from there, we'll hit 4 or 5 shots just so I get an idea of how your club's performing.
Okay.
And then we'll see what the numbers are.
Cool.
All right. Maybe like 145. First we look at the dispersion, the most right to the most left. So except for this one outlier, pretty good dispersion. This is carry distance for your clubs, and I think it's important that we know how far we hit the ball in the air.
Sure.
Just kind of going through the numbers just so you understand them. You got good club speed, attack angle's pretty good. Your dynamic loft with a 7-iron is one of the main deciders of distance.
Okay.
Like less dynamic loft, more distance. So
what's a good number?
7-iron's typically around 20, 21 degrees.
Great.
So really pretty good. This is what TrackMan sees as your swing plane. Do you understand what swing plane is?
Yes, but not with the numbers.
Okay, so picture your club. TrackMan tracks the club from halfway down to halfway through. And if you plot that and then apply a line to it, there's an angle.
Got it.
That's the plane.
Okay.
That's for the club head. Okay, so that number affects your angle of attack and it affects your path. So 59 would be a little bit on the flatter side.
Okay.
60 degrees is typically for a 6-iron. 7-iron's a little shorter, should be slightly stiffer. So it kind of helps me figure out lie angle. I'm starting to process in my mind what his lie angle is going to be. we're going to try that same shaft because you like the way it felt, but I didn't like how your dispersion went long and short versus right and left. So we're going to go same. This is the Modus 120, but in an X.
So what's the difference? Key difference?
Key difference between your shaft is it's heavier.
Okay.
You have an 85, 80, probably 90 gram shaft. This is 120.
Okay.
And this is an extra stiff. So
gotcha. Extra stiff.
Tends to bring the flight down, tends to bring the spin down a little bit, and in theory your dispersion should get tighter. Your club speed actually went up with that other shaft.
Okay.
Which can lead to some inconsistency. So.
Sure. Okay. I know, Frank, you got to get your money ready this summer because with these clubs, you're in trouble. But then you're getting it too, so I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, whoever pays me the most, we can have the proper fitting. Okay, kind of the same weight, kind of the 120 weight, extra stiff.
Okay.
It looks like graphite, or it says graphite now because they inverted it. So the steps are on the inside.
They don't have the ribs on the outside.
The ribs on the outside.
Got it. Okay. Well, really working up a sweat. It's hot. I think I only take, what, 15 swings so far?
We're trying similar, just more for a feel thing. Pretty similar. That's the LZ shaft. Pretty cool.
You can see that.
So you can see, now this one, the other one, the steps are on the outside and the inside. This one, they got some steps on the outside.
Very
cool. A little different. Yep. Okay. If you look at the dispersion, okay, that last shaft is the blue. So his original shaft is the white. Okay, and then we went to the yellow, which was the softer flex. It kind of went long, short dispersion. And then we went with the X in that same shaft, kind of went right, left dispersion, pretty wide. And then we went to that last 6.0, really tight dispersion.
Love that.
So that's actually same distance, maybe a couple of yards longer, but we brought your dispersion way in.
So interestingly, you guys hear us talk about it on the podcast, and a lot of our listeners in the podcast group who are going for first-time fittings are hearing the same thing and just being surprised by how much of the fitting really is in the shaft. So right now, Mike is just working his way through a couple different ones, and we're just looking at that dispersion, and it's just tightening up just from those little shaft tweaks. So just another thing to learn about how golfers, every level are going to be able to really improve. I mean, in dispersion, you talk about dispersion, like that's where you're going to see these scoring, forget just another 5 yards or so. When you start to tighten that dispersion up like that, that's where you see the scores start to drop.
Being a regional center and on the advisory staff for a while, we've been talking with Titleist about producing a club like the AP3. We need a distance club. Titleist is, great performance, superior quality, but they've always had the stigmatism as a player's club. And so this, and it's not, I mean, the AP1 was a terrific club, but it looked a little chunky. And some people don't like that. So this AP3 is a combination of the forgiveness of the AP1 and the performance of an AP2 in a tight package. And as you saw, it looks good, good distance, and it's a great head. So we're gonna try it now. We're gonna compare it to the AP2.
Okay.
Okay, so you can see the profile. It's a little, no, it's not really a blade, but it's a little smaller.
Okay.
But the new AP2 is as forgiving as a 7/16 AP1. They've added some tungsten to it for forgiveness, but it's still from the top line. It's got a thin top line, a little shorter blade. So it looks like a really good club.
Let me do a quick comparison.
Yeah, but it's still extremely forgiving.
Give these a try.
Okay, so your height's 5'7", your arms are 5'8", so your arms are close to the ground.
Okay.
So what do you think we're going to do with the length? What do you think I'm going to do?
We're going to shorten it?
We're going to go shorter.
Yeah. Okay.
What's your impression so far?
First of all, this is awesome. Just I've had my my heart set on these for a while. When they first came out. So I was anxious and excited to play them. I didn't touch the ones. We just did the 2s, and then we can kind of quickly went back to the 3s because the chart told us these are the ones. Specific right there.
Right there. So,
wow.
So what this does is I keep track of all this, and then I can send this to you.
Great.
And then I can actually place an order right through here too.
Perfect. Cool.
I actually like players to have 15 or 16 clubs. Because you go to a different course, if you come here, you don't need really long clubs.
Okay.
We're 6,500 yards. You go to Bethpage Black, you're playing 72. Well, you might need a 3-iron or a 4-iron. You need something longer, so you like to have options.
All right, next up's Frank. He's gonna take his warm-ups. How you feeling today?
Feeling good. Feels good to be outdoors again, that's for sure.
This is the average of your 5 shots.
Okay.
This is your miss that you want to get rid of.
Right, that left miss.
A little bit left. If we can get your spin up and your launch down a little bit, we can get a little more carry distance out of it and then work with the shaft weight to keep the dispersion too much. I'm going to start with AP2 with you. We need some spin, so I'm going to go to a shaft. I'm going to go a little lighter shaft. Typically, the lighter the shaft, the more launch and spin you get out of it. We're going AP2. This is a KBS Tour 90, which is pretty similar to the shaft that you've been using in your club.
Okay.
As far as weight.
Certainly a pretty club. It feels significantly lighter.
So Frank was a perfect example where I went lightweight stiff and he couldn't hit it. As soon as I went to we were at a 90-gram shaft. As soon as I went to a 115-gram shaft, his shots got way more consistent.
Yep.
Height, we saw height go up.
Spin went up.
Spin went up, launch came down.
Yep.
Distance was about the same or a little bit farther, and your consistency greatly improved.
It definitely did.
So there's a perfect example of why club fitting is important.
No doubt about it.
Don't make them too good.
Wherever the money's coming from. That's it. So that's why buying a set of clubs off the rack isn't good. Because if you don't try them, you don't hit them a few times, you don't compare. Because everyone's different.
Yeah. And especially with weight, because I feel like if you picked up a really light club, you would think in your mind, I could swing this a lot faster.
Yeah.
But then, for me, it was totally the opposite. When I swung with the light club, I was just all over the place.
You couldn't tell where the club is.
Yeah.
That's why we need heavier. So now we're actually going to go even heavier.
Okay.
This is 125 grams. If we look at the dispersion, the white one was your original. Then I went really light, and that's the yellow here, so we can tell we knew that was a bad shaft.
Right.
I mean, I don't need the computer to tell us that.
No.
But I'm going to take that out. This last shaft is the blue circle. That feels a little bit heavier. Feels comfortable. Dispersion's a little bit off, where the XP115 is that purple circle, which is really tight.
Yeah.
So I know the heavier shaft felt a little better, but the performance on the other shaft was a little bit tighter.
Okay.
So that's where I'm going to recommend the 115 shaft. I'm okay with the heavier, but I just want you to know you may not be as accurate with the heavier. And that's where I kind of let the player decide a little bit on the feel.
I don't think the feel was significant enough of a difference for me to give up the accuracy that you're talking about.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, because we got launch was higher, or spin was higher, launch was a little bit better. Yeah. Carry distance was about the same as yours, but the dispersion is much, much tighter, which is what you told me.
Which is my goal out of this whole fitting, is the dispersion.
Right, that was your goal.
Yeah.
Now we're going to try the AP3.
Okay. Wow. Same shaft, AP3. Night and day. It's like I'm getting significantly more yards. I don't feel like I'm swinging it, doing anything really any different, and I'm not losing the whole dispersion that we're talking about. I'm not losing that. I feel like I've got a nice.
He likes the threes, huh?
The forged AP2 didn't feel as good as the cast AP3. And you would think forging would feel a little bit better,
right?
But not necessarily. And that's the thing we got to get by with a lot of people is, forging doesn't always mean feel better.
Yeah.
Or cast doesn't mean it's going to feel worse. You don't have to sacrifice feel for performance. Where you saw that, you got actually more performance.
More.
Tight dispersion, a little more carry, higher shots, better feel. that to me is a done deal, right?
Absolutely. And the night and day feeling was what, and I felt like I was hitting the AP2 well. That's the weird part.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, if you stop me there, I'd be like, I feel like I'm improved.
Yeah.
But then you put this in my hands and then all of a sudden that happened.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yep, done. Good stuff. Yep. We talked about going a little bit upright, but I liked what we saw.
I do too.
And the contact point was it was a little more, it was higher.
Right.
And more in the center than we saw with the other head. So I think because of the balancing in the head, I think we're going to go standard length, even though that might be a tad long for you, but you hit them good.
I think part of the key of fitting is not fixing what's not broken, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. I like that thing.
Plus, it's always easier to make them shorter if we have to.
Right.
So we're done with the iron fitting. AP3s.
Now I'm excited, man. That felt good.
Yeah, you're hitting those last ones.
I just all of a sudden, the ball flight I want, the spin I wanted, and going after that pin.
Yeah.
So maybe you gotta work out.
Yeah. Sold. See you later.
Sure sounds good. The AP2 felt terrific. And if we had just stopped there, I would have went home, smile on my face, happy guy. Then, tried out the AP3 for me. And boom, what a difference. Smoothed out just any of those little inconsistencies I was having, and I got more yardage. It almost seems like there's always that trade-off. There was no trade-off there. So I'm excited about this. Mike's putting that work in on those hybrids. You guys know that's his favorite part of the game, so he's smiling all the way through it.
So I'm going to start out at a 21, and then we'll see. We'll kind of fit the distance off of that.
Sure. Felt great. Look at this.
You want to now? You can get a junior club, which they remove. That's what that shaft is for. That's a man shaft.
All right, guys, fairway woods and drivers. This is where I need the most help. You've probably heard me talk about it on the podcast, but very low comfort level with what I'm currently playing. So if we can improve upon that at all today, I'm extremely excited because it's a huge hole in my game.
Your angle of attack is up. So unless the ball's perched up nicely on the fairway or the first cut of rough, it's a hard shot for you.
Yeah.
Tight lies are probably pretty scary.
Uh-oh. Frank's hitting hybrid. This is a rare sighting. Let's hit it.
Think of this as a 5-iron.
Kill this guy.
Like a 5-iron.
Like a 5-iron.
There you go. Very nice.
That's better.
Yeah. And I feel like a slight mishit, but it was corrected.
All right, a guy who doesn't hit hybrids. What's your initial thoughts there?
Well, that's where it's good to have a fitter who's also a coach, that's for sure. Showed me what I was doing wrong, and then
you got, what was it, 215 carry with about a 240 total.
Right.
Beautiful.
All right, iron's done, fairway's done. Time for the big dog.
Oh, yeah, let's go. Let's take it home right now.
Woo!
He'll take 3.
Yeah.
How good was that?
Yeah, seriously. Did that break 3?
115, 3600 spin, 285 carry, 310 total.
Give me the bumblebee setup.
Yellow bomber shaft.
All right, cool.
Like I said, you're gonna walk up to the first tee of the yellow shaft, you better mash it, and you mash it.
Yeah. Seriously.
All right, we did irons. We did fairway woods. We did driver. Now on to wedges. This is where the money's made. Short game.
We're gonna test a couple of things, the grind and the bounce.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the grind is how Mr. Vokey Way does back here, and it's different for every player in the back of the wedge. Some players go through it steeper or shallower, and the grind kind of helps you feel the club going through the turf. The bounce prevents you from digging too much. So here up in the Northeast, we're a little softer soil. We tend to go kind of mid to higher bounce for most players. I don't sell too many L bounces, the low bounce. Just watching you hit balls, we know you're kind of steep already. So we're going to kind of favor towards the mid to high bounce. We'll try some different ones. Just kind of pay attention to how the ball reacts to the club, and how the club reacts to the turf, and how you react to everything. How it all feels. So I'm going to start out with this, kind of start in the middle with a 60-10.
What a day, right, Mike?
Yeah, what a day indeed. So after about 100 shots each, we've been here for about 5 hours, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And we went through the full bag. And Kevin, pretty much break it down. What did you see, Frank, for me?
Well, you guys came in with some stuff that was okay. Wasn't great, even though it was fit for you. It might have been fit at a different time in your game.
Some of it wasn't, right?
So for Frank, what we figured out was, even though he liked the AP2, and he even said he'd walk off with them, the AP3 performed better.
Yep.
About 5 to 7 more yards carried, same dispersion. Really good shots.
Yep.
We actually got him to hit a hybrid after a slight little lesson. Right? Put a hybrid in there.
Kicking and screaming, and then
So now maybe we can take the 3-iron out of his bag and put the hybrid in there. So we got that distance. Then we went a little bit shorter. We actually found the shorter club. You hit it straighter and farther. I think that was pretty important.
Yep, no doubt.
And then driver, we'll talk about in a second.
Sure, yeah.
Here to Mike.
Yeah.
Mike's the high speeds, real strong player, so we ended up going heavier and stiffer.
Right.
6.5 rifle flat shaft.
Right. Correct.
AP3 head. We tried the AP2, it just didn't. The balance wasn't right and didn't perform. I think the little wider sole in the AP3,
that made the difference.
and it was really forgiving for you. You hit
Big
a lot of shots there.
I didn't have that, when my miss hits weren't going far right.
Yeah, so we did that. We did a hybrid. We actually went with a smaller headed hybrid for the first one, and then we tried a bigger headed, higher flying, but it didn't work. So we had to go 16.5-degree 3-wood for you to get the distance that we're looking for.
That's right, and I was hitting that nice.
So having that ability when you fit to try different length clubs. I actually went shorter, 5-wood length, 3-wood lofted head. Helped you out, actually gave you more consistency and the yardage that you were looking for.
Right.
And then we went to driver.
Yep.
You guys actually ended up in the same head in the driver, the 9.5 D2,
Yep.
which is what most tour players are using. But you went with the extra stiff mashed
potatoes, right?
That bright yellow shaft.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you needed something that spun a little bit less, but because it's a counterbalance shaft that got the ball in the air because your attack angle's down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, his attack angle's up, so we went with a little bit lighter, actually about the same weight, but a different flex, a little stiff versus an X, but a little lower flying shaft than him because you already get it up in the air.
Right.
So net, he only hits it 15 yards farther than you, even though he swings 12 miles an hour faster.
There you go.
So you're a little bit more efficient. He's the man eater.
I got to say, it was really nice to see those 300 yarders.
Yeah.
I haven't seen those, I don't think, ever, really. So.
That was pretty impressive, especially uphill.
Yeah.
And then when you go through that full bag fitting, the confidence level just goes way up because you feel like everything is working together. It was so systematic that we went through everything. But I think a big takeaway for me was don't come in here with any preconceived notions because we learned as we go. I mean, just test, right? Test and change.
Yeah, we tried light shafts and heavy shafts to figure out what works out for you. We tried some different flexes to figure out what works out. And then you guys immediately felt the difference. Like he knew that driver was perfect for him right away.
No doubt. And then me, I'm like, I can't hit a hybrid. I don't even want to touch a hybrid.
Yeah.
Like, just try it anyway. And then look what we were doing.
And I think for there, we added a little bit of weight to the head, which gives you some more feel, and makes it feel more like an iron.
Yeah.
So, and then giving you a little confidence too helped out. So there's so much you can do in a club fitting that you wouldn't do if you were either inside hitting into a simulator or just buying it off the rack.
No doubt. And so much, even like I said, for mid-level handicappers, the level of improvement that we were able to jump just in one day, and walking out of here, now we're just itching to get out there.
I know.
We're going to unbox these things, then we're going to get out on the course, maybe a little Frank versus Mike.
Yeah, big time. I can't wait for that.
So Kevin, thank you. Thank you for your time today. It was great.
My pleasure,
appreciate
guys.
every bit of it. And check it out for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Cool.
Oh, one more thing. I know you guys after watching this probably itching to get your own fitting. So Kevin, how can people come work with you?
Best way is through my website, kevinsprecher.com.
Okay.
You can find all the information there. You got your book a lesson on there. We're also one of the regional fitting centers for Titleist. So if you go to Titleist.com and search up fitting centers. So if you can't get to me, there's going to be someone near you that's either a regional center or an advanced fitting center that has a lot of different combinations.
Right.
So, but I can cover about 100 miles
At least. Kevin's had people come all the way from Ohio to work with him. So yeah, if you're anywhere in the area, that's how you can do it. Otherwise, check out Titleist.com and look for a local regional fitting center and get fitted, because man, does it make a difference. All right, guys.